Hi everyone, welcome back to BukkyTOv. Kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn the bell notification on. So anytime we upload new video onto YouTube, you will be notified. Thank you.
This is me. See my ring. I'm super excited. Thanks for the congratulatory messages, for the calls, for the SMS, for the WhatsApp messages. I really appreciate it. Okay, so and thanks also to my husband who gave me time to be here. Take time off honeymoon. My marriage is barely a week, but I just have to be here. All right, so I just feel the need to share my story, encourage somebody. I feel the need to let you know what is going on. All right. First of all, let me correct that impression. It is not three failed marriages, it's two. Okay. And this is actually the third marriage. And I pray, and I believe that this is going to be the last. This is going to be forever, like eternity by God's grace. Then, secondly, for my friends that have been, supporting me when people came on to bash, um, you must have been the one that had a problem. How could you have been with two men and it didn't work? I thank you guys for all the support you gave to me and all of that. But the truth is, the negative energy is expected. I prepare for it, you understand? Because everybody cannot always be on the same page. Some people will always, say something wrong. Some people will always say, this is where you got it wrong, and that is fine. But for those of you that have been following me online, you will know that I have not been one to say I'm perfect. I've not been one to say I'm without flaws. I come out to tell you this is my mistakes, this is what I did wrong, and I have learned and I am moving on. I'm a realistic person. I have never said I wanted a perfect man, and I have never said I'm a perfect woman. All right. So the whole idea of this is to inspire one woman out there, to empower one woman out there, to give one woman hope, to make you know that you're not alone in whatever it is you're going through. Other people might not be bold enough to step out and say, you know what, this is the mess that my life has been. But some of us can, and because we can, we will be able to hold your hand through it. I remember a couple of weeks ago, I got a message from a woman. This was even before all of this, my marriage story came up. She said she has issues in her marriage and she needs me to talk to her. And I immediately told her, I'm not a marriage counselor. I don't counsel people on relationship. I'm not a relationship coach. And she said, you know what? I see the marriage counselors, but I don't want to go to them. I want to come to you because you have been there. You know what it is. You have felt the pain. You have learned the lessons, and you will be able to inspire me based on something you have felt firsthand. And I thought about it. That in itself is the truth. Laws don't work. But I'm here to say some of us have been there. We have walked the path. We have made the mistakes. We have learned the lessons. We know exactly how it feels. We're not just reading it up from a book. We have gathered experience over years, and then we will be able to tell somebody else, you know what, this is what works and this is what doesn't work. And of course, ultimately, it is up to you to choose and decide what works for you. A league of a league of female warriors. All right. And I consider myself a female warrior. I'm sure so many people do too. I've been there. I mean, I've fought battles with divorce. I've fought battle with domestic violence. I've fought battle with a cheating spouse. I've fought battle with loss of parents. I've fought battle on the online space as a business person. I've fought battle as a woman trying to find her faith. I've fought battle against society, against sicknesses. I mean, I fought battle with death. I fought battle losing my family. I was brought up in a closely knitted family, father, mother, two kids. And then I went from my brother relocating like so many years ago to I lost my mother, lost my father in the space of 2 years. I went from having all those wonderful people to having nobody. So I consider myself to an extent a warrior. And that is why I call myself every woman's Amazon. So I'm here to take you on that journey. And why am I doing all of this? I mean, I got calls from so many people. Why do you want to wash your dirty linen in public? Why do you want everybody to know that you've had kids from different men, different marriages? Just hide your story, hide your head. Don't let people get into it. Don't let people break your marriages. As much as I appreciate all of that advice, all of that concern. But the truth remains, even before the advent of the internet, people had broken relationships and broken marriages. That's the truth. So the fact that your business is on social media doesn't mean it's going to work or it's not going to work. That's the truth. Now, I have always been on this space. I started my brand on this space. I sell on this space. I made money on this space. I made mistakes on this space. I learned lessons on this space. I met wonderful people, built relationship, building empire on this space. And this is me. Now, I consider myself as one of the privileged few people that God has allowed to go through a path to be able to rewrite the story of other people. Those of you that knew me, I mean, way back while I was growing up, you knew that I grew up in a very religious family. My father and my mother, religious people, deeper life members. So I was not one of those women that was supposed to end up like this. I grew up with everything I wanted. I had almost every basic thing that a normal child will have. My parents had just 2 kids so that they could give us the best. Projecting from that, you will not expect me to have gone through this. You would expect me to have get a job, get out of school, start a business, get married, have kids, and live happily ever after. But most successful people and most people that have great stories, great life, they all have this path. They all have these stories. Do you understand? So if God has actually said, you know what, go through that path, and he has given me strength at every point to pull through and stand strong, I consider myself privileged, and I can't keep such story to myself. That's the truth. Now, I want us to understand something. I am not here to bash at men, to say men are not good. I'm not here to bash at marriages, to tell you to jump off your marriage at every slight misunderstanding. No. I am not here to support a group of women who are, I don't know what the term is called. I don't even know the definition of it. But I am not here to do all of those. I am not a chauvinist. I am a realist who is here to do or tell you my story so that you can learn. Now, it's a lot of story. My first marriage will have been 11 years this year. So that journey of 11 years has been a lot of things. I'm going to break them down into bits and pieces that we can relate with. I'm going to give you opportunity to ask questions, to drop comments. I am not afraid of your negative comments. Bring it on. I'm ready for it. The truth is, over the last 11 years, I have grown, I have matured, I have learned. The things I knew then, the things that I know now, I didn't know them then. Okay? So, choices that I'm making now, I could have made better choices then. But just like every other human being, I have grown. So if you want to come to this space to say, you know what, I'm coming to throw it into her face that she's not a good woman, she's all this, she's not, she's all that. Trust me, I have developed thick skin enough to handle all of that over the space of this year. So I'm not afraid to take up any comments and anything you want. Just bring it on. This is reality. This is not makeup. This is not, I'm coming here to pose myself as I'm good or I won. This is not a battle. This is my life. This is my story. Another thing I want you to understand here, basic, is the 2 men I was with previously. I am not here to pull them down. I am not here to talk bad about them. I am just here to give you a side of the story, what I think. Now, it doesn't make them bad men, okay? I'll be mentioning names because this is reality, all right? The first man I was with, Kola Beru. The second man I was with, Crystal. Everybody knows Crystal, like he's all over the place and all of that. 2 of them are not bad men. They are not the worst of men you can come by. But it simply just meant that it was not meant to be. We were not compatible. The things that they held as values are not the things I held on as values. The things that they considered as is just any other thing in life, I didn't consider them as. We were not on the same page. And the fact that you're not on the same page with a particular woman does not make you a bad man. The fact that you're not on the same page with a particular man does not make you a bad woman. It just means you have not gotten to the right person. That is the truth. Marriage is not 100%. Like, there is nothing in life that there is, okay? Marriage is like a box. I mean, you open it, you find so many surprises in it. Now, you weigh both sides and see, does this work for me? Doesn't this work for me? You weigh both sides and then you do you, what works for you. And that is exactly what I'm trying to project here. Don't let society decide for you, dictate for you, tell you what it is. No. When you're going through all of the pain, society will not be there to bear it. If I had stayed, okay, let's take for instance, let me give you a little chip into it. I walked out of my first marriage because of domestic violence, among other things. Now, why did I say among other things? There were other things going on that I wasn't happy with, but I could have lived with them. I was ready to live with them, okay? But when domestic violence sets in, for those of you that were on this group, Adorable Mom group, that you knew me then, you remember when I put up my story about my husband hitting me to bleeding points in public. It was in an open space. It was in my shop, and that was the first time he was ever going to do that. And two things that I had made up my mind, I wasn't going to compromise my mental health for in a marriage: domestic violence and cheating. And why did I say this? Domestic violence, the risk that comes with it, you could be killed, you could be maimed, your mental health could be destroyed, your emotional health could be destroyed. The person that is putting a spouse through domestic violence, he or she, himself or herself, they need help. They are not stable. They are not even ready. They are not fit enough to have what is called marriage. That is the truth. So when people tell you your husband is hitting you, endure it, I tell you, that husband that is hitting you, he's not even matured enough for marriage. He doesn't understand marriage. He's not stable. He needs help. If you truly love him, take him to go and look for help. Nobody hits a grown man. Even your kids, you are not supposed to hit children or your maids or friends or in-laws, whoever, to the point of bleeding. You are not supposed to. Not to talk of your spouse. So anybody who is taking his or her spouse through that, I mean, I've heard stories of men that go through domestic violence from their wives too. So it's not one way. And like I said, I'm not here to talk for women or against women or for men against men. I'm here to talk for human, for human. Do you understand? So that person is not even in a ready state to handle what is called marriage. Tell the person to go for help and take yourself out of that situation. I'm not saying file for divorce. If you still find hope for that marriage, you can just take a separation, physical separation, away from where that person can get to hit you. Because the truth is, if you endure and you die in there, the best that society will do is, hey, yeah, sorry, and then they call your mom and your dad, sorry, and then they donate money for your kids if you have very good friends, and 2-3 weeks later your story has gone, other people's story has come up. That is all. Is there really any man or woman that is worth all of that? That is why I will frown at domestic violence anytime, and that is the reason I jumped out of that marriage. It happened the first time. He apologized, he begged me I shouldn't tell anybody, he reported himself to the pastors, they begged me. The second time it was going to happen, he looked me into the face, he said, and I quote, "Nǹkan tí mo ṣe fún ẹ níjọ́ yẹn kékeré ni," literally meaning what I did for you the other day is just a little compared with what I will do today. And that was at 11:30 p.m. and I called my father immediately, and he came to take me out of the house about 11:45 p.m. and that was the last of it. I will not take it. Like I said, do what works for you, but I will not advise it. I walked out of my second marriage because my ex-husband was an unrepentant cheat. I don't want to put this back on social media, but I had his WhatsApp chat messages mailed to me. I got a hold of his phone and I mailed it to me, and I read everything that was going on there. Constantly having street girls being arranged for him to sleep with, like, regularly. And I thought of it to myself, as a woman, where do I come into this? My health was at stake. Every time I sleep with that man, I was constantly exposing myself to the chances of going down with STDs or HIV. Okay, so that was one. Secondly, when your husband begins to go about with random women, one of them will hook on him one day and feel, wow, I want to stay with this man, I don't want to go. And then 80% of these girls go diabolic. They start black magic and voodoo, and you are there fighting your life with your life over a man. And the question I ask myself is this: is it really worth it? Is there any man that is really worth me putting my life on the line because of him? Just what if in the process her voodoo, her black magic, or whatever it is that she's using on the man, or she intends to use on the man, works negatively on you as a woman? Let's consider that you're not spiritually strong. So what happens to your kids? I couldn't take that risk. Why? Because I'm an orphan. I don't have a father, I don't have a mother. My only sibling is hundreds of millions of miles away from me. So what if anything had happened to me? Where would my kids have gone to? Who would have taken them up? So it wasn't just about me. It wasn't about I wanted to be Mrs. Somebody. It was about the fact that, is it really worth it? Because first of all, I am first an individual with my dreams, visions, and everything I wanted to do before I joined myself to a man. And if the risk of my life, mental health, physical health, spiritual health was at stake, I know what I saw. I know at some point that the girl that he ended up with started a lot of black magic. I mean, those of us that know him, you know that the woman that he ended up with as a wife in his house right now is not even worth anything with him. Like, he could have done better for himself. I mean, it's not explainable, like, do you understand? So I believe that there was something more. And trust me, in the course of this series, I will tell you things that I saw that made me tell myself, you know what, it's not worth it. Because at the end of the day, truth is, a man disrespects you enough by bringing somebody else into your relationship, then you want to fight the somebody else and to win. And then when you win, ask me, what have you won? A cheating man? There's a difference between my husband is faithful and is loyal, and he mistakenly gets involved in some girl, and the girl is like, no, I'm not going. There's a difference between that and a man who is doing this constantly to your face, and he's feeling like, I'm taking care of you. Because that's the truth. If I was one of those women that wanted a man to get her a good apartment, give her money, buy her a car, give her money to travel, Krista was doing that. But I wanted more from a relationship and a marriage than that. If that is all what marriage is about, I can provide that for myself. That's the truth. I wanted companionship. I wanted a man I could serve God with. I wanted a man that was not afraid of my success, who was ready to push me to the height of everything I wanted and was not feeling inferior about it. I wanted a man who respects life and respects the union of marriage. I believe in marriage vows. You don't have to believe in it. I'm not forcing my opinion, but I believe in marriage vows. And I believe in the fact that we should keep to those vows. If I don't find any man that is ready to do all of this, then what's the point? Okay, so that's how I got to where I am today. That's how the story got here. And for some reasons, God said this story will go viral because I never did anything. The truth is, I've been writing my story. How come nobody picked it up at different points? How come they decided to pick it up a few days ago? Because I feel, okay, it's time to let this thing out in a more defined way. It's time to let other women in on this thing and know, to be able to encourage. And throughout yesterday, I kept on getting messages and calls. I need your help. I need to know how you did this. I mean, somebody calls me to say, I want to know your secrets. And people are telling me stories like, can I share my story with you? Some people have gone through this successfully and they're like, I'm not one to really come out to talk the way you talk, but I think my story would also help some other people. And I told them, I said, don't worry. I mean, this is getting bigger than me. This is getting bigger than what any other person. For me, thank you so much for that response. This is getting bigger than what anybody planned. All right, so I will let such women in. Either they want to come in live on the show to talk about their own stories and encourage somebody else, or they want me to read it out and all of that. So this is going to be super interactive. This is going to bless somebody. Now, for those of you who are coming to my space, like I read something now. Somebody says, simple advice, I think you should go solo on this your new marriage. The last two you had couldn't stand the test of time for reasons best known to you. Thank God you understand. Yoruba says, Ti ishweni ba ta amando woboni. I'm so happy for you, but let this particular marriage to stand the test of time before flaunting this marriage. Just a simple advice. Okay, so like Fumi responded to this person. She said, she is not flaunting, she is teaching. Exactly. That's why I said, social media, people just come in, pick one sentence, and then boom, they want to talk. Like I said, I'm ready for all of this. Bring it on, and then I would correct the wrong opinions that you have. I am not here flaunting a marriage at somebody's face. Is that okay? I am not here telling you that 100%. I didn't go into this marriage because I was 100% sure it was going to work. My husband will tell you that firsthand. I went into this because a few months before this, I had told God some things. And I told God to give me these things. And I saw him giving me everything I asked for, one after the other. And I was just following. Trust me, I didn't make any efforts. I didn't do nothing. I just sleep and wake up every day. And this story is playing out. So I'm not here to flaunt. If you know me, you will know I don't do that. I am here to teach. My story has gone viral. People have dropped comments. People are asking, how did you do it? A couple of women have gone through it. Deji, you are not a woman, so you don't understand what it means for a woman to get married as a single girl, find a husband in that first place. There are so many single women, never married, never had kids, that they are still single, 40, 45. So the fact that I even went into a first marriage at 26, it was a miracle. I left with 2 kids and I got married again. Somebody took me in with 2 kids again. It was a miracle. Some women don't even have that opportunity. And then I went in and then I'm here again with a single guy who was never married. Deji, I have a story that some people need to learn from. You might not find any part of this story inspiring to you as a man, with the point of view that you have. But trust me, a lot of people do. And that's the reason I am here. And that's the reason I will continue to be here for the length of this series. All right. So I need to stress again. I'm not flaunting. I'm not bashing. I'm not here to talk anybody down. I'm not fighting anybody. I am here to teach, to inspire. I'm here to empower other women out here. I'm here to rekindle the hope of love, to tell you that the fact that you are a single mom with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 kids, it's not the end of life. If you still want to, like I tell the ladies in my group, if you still want to get married, you can. And that's something that they will tell me in my group. I kept on saying, this is what I want. I kept on stressing I wanted a single guy that was never married. In fact, when the royal wedding came and I did a post and one guy was going off me, I remember that post and I made reference to it a few weeks ago. The guy went off me and like, oh, is that the reason why you are still single? Because you are hoping that one royal prince from somewhere will marry you. It cannot happen in Africa. No man will pick up a single mother that is a divorcee. And a man picked me up, single mother, divorced twice. So I'm here to give you hope, to let you know that if you want it, you can have it. And something else I'll chip in again. This is just an introduction, okay? This is just the introductory. We're going to be doing this every week on the stated channels. It's going to be on my Facebook group. It's going to be on my Instagram channel. It's going to be on my YouTube channel, okay? There's one thing I want us to get here. Life is you. The only person that defines life is you and God. No other person defines your life. And then marriage should not define who you are. Because as Christians, I don't know about Muslims, at the end of the day, Christ said, when we get to the other side, he said they are neither married nor given to marriage. Meaning that everything about marriage ends in this side of life. So why would you allow something that ends in this side of life to affect your other side of life? Some women have been involved in fights with their husband and they were stabbed to death on that point. I wonder what the state of their heart is at the time they eventually gave up. Some women have fought other women outside with voodoo, black magic, gotten themselves into all sorts of things, all in the bid that I must just remain married. Is it really worth that length of fight that we're really going through right now, that we're taking ourselves through right now? And then as single mothers, I have a word for you. Guys walk up to you every day. The mistakes so many of us make is you present yourself as desperate. I want to get married. I just want to get married. And the guys can see it. They can spell it. And that's why they end up taking advantage of single mothers. Because you already present yourself like, I don't have too much of a choice. So any man that comes, I just have to grab the opportunity. No. When my husband was asking me to marry him, I was still forming. That's the truth. As in, I still acted like every other woman. I was almost going to block him off. Like, what is this? Who do you think you're talking to? Like, all of that. I still know that I was worth something. I was worth a lot. I still knew that even if I did not end up getting married again, I could still raise my 4 kids by myself and be awesome. Take that desperation out of you. That's one thing I need you to room. Then please define for yourself what you want. If you don't define what you want, when it comes, you won't know. If you don't define what you, I need to say that again. If you don't define what you want, when what you want comes, you will not know. Then understand the fact that as much as you define what you want, let God be the underlining factor. Because for real, you might want this and expect it to come like this. And the way God is going to present it is different. That is the way God works. I wanted a single guy who was never married, who never had kids, from a royal family. Those of you on my single ladies in business group, you will remember that I said this over and over again, these 4 descriptions. But when it was going to come to me, it didn't come to me like the royal prince in his attire, walking up to say, let me save the day. No, it came in an unexpected way. It came with flaws. It came with a lot of things. But I could sense the underlying thing, like, okay, I can remember I asked God for this and I'm saying this. All right, how do I unveil this thing to really know if it is God? Now, that boils down to your relationship with God. Even atheists who don't believe that there is God, they will tell you that the whole universe is still controlled by something we don't see. They don't want to admit that that's something we don't see is God, but we know that is God. So you cannot rule God out of everything. Then lastly, before I sign off for today and go back to my honeymoon, I spent a lot of time with you guys, but trust me, I'll be back. So before I go today, I'll tell you this. You deserve the best. You deserve the best. And we all have a story. Don't let anybody throw your story into your face and say, I made a post yesterday, my last post yesterday. I was referring to one lady, Nike. Those of you that know my ex-husband and his friend, you will know who Nike is. Nike is the wife of his best friend. Nike took to my Facebook page on that day, dropping comments and all of that. I had to block her off Facebook. She came to my WhatsApp and I remember those words. Your life is disgusting. Your story is irritating. You are a shame to women. You have become a shadow of yourself. And I replied her simply saying, point of emphasis, my life, my story. It is my own. When has my own thing become a problem with you? Can't I just own my life and do it the way I want to? When has my life become something for you to bother about? I'm like, I think you are going out of place to actually be making so much gra over my own story. Why am I saying all of this? It is your story. Joseph was lying down comfortably in his house when God gave him dreams that he would rule over his brothers and everything. Joseph had a goal. He knew where he was going to. I was going to rule over my brothers and they were coming to bow down. But he had a journey that he had to go through. David became a successful king and all of that. He had a journey as a murderer, as an adulterer, as a worshipper of God. All of these things, it's what defines David. It was his story and his path. You cannot write the story of King David in the Bible without writing the fact that he murdered, without writing the fact that he had an affair and there was a child born out of it. That's their story. Even Jesus had his story. What would Mary have gone through? Everybody knew that Mary and Joseph were not married, yet she had a child. Do you know, in this dispensation, just bring it into 2019. Mary is the head pastor, the head usher or the choir leader. And then she has this brother, Sunday school leader, that pastor says they are getting married. And before pastor officially announced them as married, she is pregnant. And she's telling us that she's going to give birth to Jesus. Think about how we would have been able to relate with it. But the truth is that was her story and that was her journey. All right? And that is what makes Jesus. We cannot define Jesus without talking about the fact that he was born out of wedlock. We cannot define Jesus without saying that he was born in the manger among goats and animals and sheep and everything. We cannot define him without talking about the fact that there was a time he was angry and he threw people out. We cannot define Jesus without saying that he got to a point in the garden where he said, Father, I wish this cup can pass over me, but not my will, thy own will be done. That means Jesus got to a point in his life where he had a will that was different from his Father. Jesus, it was his story and he lived it, and that is why he's Jesus. This is my story. I'm living it. You have your own story. Don't let anybody look down on you because your path is not their path. Some of us wrote JAMB once and we passed. I'm one of them. Some of you wrote JAMB 2-3 times. Some people wrote JAMB 10 times and they still went into school and got a first degree, a master's and a PhD. Why? Because that is their story. Don't let anybody turn you down because of your story. It might not sound interesting right now. I'm telling this story right now. Somebody is saying don't flaunt your new marriage. I don't know where it's going to end. Trust me. There is no guarantee that 100%, but I'm putting my best into this. He's putting his best into this, and God is going to make this work. We are still on the journey. All right? I'm getting very serious here right now. All right, so thank you very much. I appreciate the fact that you guys were here. Thank you very much. Yes, Salam Alaikum to Lawawa. Yes, I said define what you want and let God be your underlining factor. Maintain a good relationship with yourself, with your man, and with God. I mean, it's as simple as that. I love you. I appreciate the fact that you guys have been here. And I will be back to tell the rest of my story. And just before I go, let me say this. I saw somebody online right now. I saw my mom online right now, Mrs. Kehinde Okorafor. I really appreciate her presence here. In fact, after the whole viral thing yesterday, she too got a lot of calls. People were asking her, are you really Ewa's mom? You look too young to have a daughter as old as that. We heard her mom is late. We heard she's an orphan. How did it come into the story? I mean, that is another story. That woman picked me up at a time when everybody rejected me. That woman stood by me without being my blood relative. She stood by me up until now. And she called me yesterday. She said, I'm happy I didn't give up on you. I'm happy to be part of your success stories. How many people have crossed your path that you could have helped and held their hands? We all mess up. Why must you look at somebody's mess and think, I don't want to have anything to do with this person? Why? Because she's this, because she's that. But she stood by me. And today, she is being celebrated. She called me yesterday and it was an emotional moment. I mean, somebody is out there that God has brought into your life that you can hold on. If you don't hold them, somebody else will hold them. And the day they become a success, you now sit down somewhere and be saying, and I knew that girl, I knew her when we were in secondary school. But what were you supposed to have added? What value were you supposed to have given? See my wedding videos. I'm an orphan. My only sibling is not in Nigeria. Where did you think I got all of that family and all that show of love for? These are people that could have rejected me when everybody was talking trash about me. But they stood by me and they are being celebrated for it today. Don't worry, she will also come and tell us her side of the story, you know. And of course, my husband will come and tell you why. What did he see in me that makes him feel, you see, all those single girls on the streets of Lagos are not worth it. I'm ready to take this girl, baggage and all, kids and all, story and all, and he's standing in front of family and friends to say this is the one I want to spend the rest of my life with. He has a story, trust me. This is me, officially Mrs. Cole. Thanks for the congratulatory messages. Thanks for being here and see you later.